We up to 44 subscribers.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Play Callers.
Callers. Yes, sir.
So, as y'all may have heard, man, we are up to 44 subscribers. So, you know what to do, man. If you haven't already subscribed, if you're not one of those 44, hit that subscribe button down there in the bottom right hand corner. And also, if you are a subscriber, hit that share button, bro.
Yes, sir.
So, for those of y'all that might be new to the show, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Stephen Box. I am one half of the dynamic duo, joined as always by my co-host, the one and the only,
Your boy Cool McCain.
the third. So, man, we got some great sports to talk about tonight, man. But we have to start off with a little bit of a pause here, man. Today we lost a legend in the sports world. RIP to Hank Aaron. I'm not much of a baseball guy myself, man, but a true legend. Whether you watch baseball, didn't watch baseball, everybody knows who Hank Aaron is. One of the, if not the all-time greatest baseball players. So definitely a huge loss for the sports world.
Yeah, man. I got on my throwback Braves hat in honor of Hank Aaron, man. Great dude. Everyone who spoke about him in sports, talked really well about him. Said a lot of positive things. A trailblazer for integration of sports and one of the first real icons in the African American movie in the African American community in baseball. He was in an era where baseball was the sport. Not it's not so as much now, but there was a time when baseball was the sport, and he was a face of it. Man, you can't put together, in my opinion, a Mount Rushmore of baseball and not include this man on it. So, like I said, former players, I've watched different shows throughout the day, and everything is pretty much, been the same sentiment. He's a great guy, a big loss for sports, an icon. So, just to add to what's already been said, man, big loss, as my co-host said, and he'll definitely be missed, but he did a lot that'll be celebrated for generations beyond.
Yeah, definitely something that we're gonna be looking at and hopefully recognize the contribution he made.
Yep.
So just like I
Yeah,
said,
man. Also,
go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, man. My bad. I was just gonna say, also a couple more things, not necessarily sports related, but that we should at least touch on, you know, this week. We had the inauguration. They had the first female vice president sworn in, first you know, female of color to be vice president, first African American, uh, first person of Asian descent. So a lot of different barriers were broken. So, that was a great moment to be alive to see and see how diversity is happening within the country. Um, and also, real quick, it did happen earlier in the week, but we also had Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, which we celebrate. And big thing about that is this show is his vision. You know, me, black guy, my host, my co-host, white guy, being able to come together, do a show, talk about issues and things outside of political realm and just have a good time, man. So big ups to both of those things and definitely something that I like to celebrate every year. And I just wanted to, highlight those real quick on the show.
Yeah, and along with those, now that did have a couple of hires in the NFL, and I know we'll get more into Robert Saleh, yeah, head coach of the Jets, Martin Mason was the 49ers role with the Lions, but I might be thinking, but now have our Washington now have
Yeah, I think it was with the football team.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and in Washington, we actually now have a minority head coach and general manager. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
that we did not have before. No one would even imagine that being a possibility a while back. So these are all signs of progress. Where we need to be, but signs
Absolutely.
of progress.
And also, Washington has a assistant coach that is a female of color, the first in their organization's history. So, more groundbreaking things happening in the nation's capital with the football team.
Kind of crazy, man, for an organization that so badly that has done so much wrong to suddenly be leading the charges. Who would think it?
Well, a lot of it comes down to, man, when you're doing these things, if you get the right people in around you, you get the right support system, and you start to realize, let's start looking at who's best for things and not who looks a certain way or who knows who or who's friend. Let's get who's best, man. That's all we really want. That's all everybody really wants. Whoever that person is, just get who you think is the best in there. Diversity is always a great thing, and very happy to see that it's happening for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Well, I've got a little bit of a. I don't know if you can picking up a little bit of audio. Exactly right. So I'm gonna let you get off the topic here while I.
Sure, man. So, for those of you who have watched the show last week, or if you haven't, one of the things that we kind of keeping an eye on is this super team, this big three that's supposed to be forming in Brooklyn. So, we had Harden play a couple of games with Durant. Just him and Durant actually looked pretty good. They looked like they were kind of getting everything together and making things happen. Then something else happened that was very interesting. We got Kyrie back. They had a game together. Didn't look as solid. Um, I don't think it's a point where you say, "Oh, there's no way that this can work," because after one game it didn't work. But it is alarming to see some of the things that I was discussing last week as far as ball dominance. If you're going to play with two other alpha guys, two other ball dominant guys, you've got to learn how to make the pass and make the plays, move the ball around. I didn't see Kyrie do a lot of that. I saw a lot of him dominate the ball. I kind of felt like Harden and to a lesser extent Durant was kind of allowing him to do some of that and kind of taking a backseat. I think you need all of those guys engaged because you give up a lot of pieces to get those guys to put them on the team feeling that was going to give you a better opportunity to win than what you were doing. So with that being the case, those guys have to play. Another thing I saw in that game on the defensive end, you have to compete more. Brooklyn has to compete on the defensive end. Period. I didn't see them compete enough. Colin Sexton had a monster game. I don't recall saying that or reading that many times in his NFL NBA career. So with that being the case, man, those guys have got to play better defense and they got to play together. It's what you have now. I didn't think it was the best decision to do. Still don't. But it's up to them to go out there on the floor, prove that, and play basketball. That's what we're here to see. Um, it would be great to have another team to challenge in the East that can challenge some of those teams from the West. So it would be better for basketball if this does work. But it's concerning because of the players and what they've shown me so far and putting those three guys together.
Yeah, when I look at this more in that, I feel like I've already seen this, right? Saw this in Oklahoma City with a less selfish version of Kyrie, and it didn't work very well there. And Kevin Durant has become a much better player since then. James Harden's become a much better player since then. But being a better player also means guys win the ball.
Right.
And I don't know how they're going to share the ball. One thing I will say, man, is if only somebody had said, I don't know, like maybe 7 days ago, at this very time, on this very show, that the depth and the defense of the Brooklyn Nets was going to take a severe hit. Those guys would look like geniuses. If they only somebody had said it, man. Only somebody had
If
actually come
only.
out and said that. Oh, wait, that's what that is.
That's pretty much what we say, yeah. I mean, you got to look at what's happening. You got to be able to tell yourself, look, man, it is what it is. Let's be honest. Let's be real with ourselves. Defense is going to struggle. It's got to be better. And you've got to also ask those other guys that are not those guys that are on the team. They've got to sell all in the defense. They've got to commit to playing hard defense. They got to commit to checking over. They got to commit to calling out because you got three great offensive-minded players. So you got to have the other guys buying on the defensive end and cover some of those things because they're not going to be covered by those guys because we know that they focus on offense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what we talked about it in the playoffs last year. James Harden played a little bit of defense, like not a lot, just a little bit of defense. If everybody was just throwing praise on him for playing a little bit of defense, so that would tell you how much trouble they
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of defense played, man. Like I said, they had another chance against the Cleveland team tonight. Several other games going on as well. So it's a big slate for NBA, tonight and then over the weekend. But that's just interesting to me because that's supposed to be this next big team. So you got to kind of follow. You got to kind of see where it goes. You got to see if they're going to be able to kind of put that together. And if they can, it could be something magical. But as we said last week, I'm skeptical that that's going to happen. But hey, I could be wrong.
By the way, we have a person chiming in the chat, Tanya. So give us a wave. What's up? How you doing?
Hola, Tanya.
So if you're new to the show, just so you know, we do interact with our fans in the chat. So if you have any comments, questions, any topics you want to hear about, drop it in there, and we'll do our best to answer those questions. That's how we roll around here at the Play Call.
That's what we all about.
Yeah, so like you
And
said, man, we'll see. It's obviously a long season. I think it's a little early to write the Nets out. Say that there's no way this is going to possibly work. But just to reemphasize what we said last week, it's not looking good. Be doubtful.
yeah,
I think this is fire. I think we already talked about last week about the whole trade and draft pick. If you missed that conversation, check out the replay.
yes, sir. And I appreciate that, Big Rob. Um, yeah, wear the Aaron jersey tomorrow, man. Wear the Aaron jersey. Celebrate Hank Aaron, man. He deserves it. And I think you still sound a little distorted there, co-host.
Do I?
Yeah, that's what we just put in the chat. But another thing to discuss tonight, y'all. We got several different things to discuss, and then always, as my co-host just said, just to reemphasize, drop your comments, drop your thoughts, questions, anything you want to talk about sports related. Let's get it. But college basketball. So I've been watching, college basketball, and I've been noticing a number of very close games and upsets within the top 25, facing unranked or real low teams ranked like in the low 20s, 25, 24, 23, beating the top teams. We touched on this earlier, but I think it's worth coming back to because at the time, one of the arguments that was being made about it was without the offseason, a lot of these earlier games were like preseason games. So I feel comfortable in saying now we're at a point where we should have gotten the rust off and teams should be able to gel and play a little bit better. We're still having the same thing happen. So what it tells me is the quality of play from team to team is still, coming together more. It's always a thing where I feel like you have a couple of teams that are really good and everybody else has a shot. I think we're starting to see now it's becoming more of everybody has a shot, even though some teams may be really great or look really great. I think everybody has a shot. To me, that makes March exciting because when March Madness hits, it's all basketball for me. Like other sports can be going on. That's great. I might check on them, but college basketball is the one that I'm paying the most attention to. So with that being said, during that time of year, man, when we have all these questions, all these things where we're not sure about who's better, We got a lot of teams that we expect to be really good, like North Carolina, Kentucky, Duke. It's not even in the top 25 this year. But then we have other teams that we don't expect that are in the top 25. But then those teams like North Carolina, Duke, and Kentucky, they have a lot of young players. So are those players going to be able to get it together and, pull things up and get those teams back to where we expect? Or are they going to stay on the outside looking in? That's a big question as well. So it's a lot of storylines and subplots that we could follow for college basketball for those of you who watch college basketball. So pay attention to those. And as we get closer to March, we'll talk more about it. But the upsets in those tight games are abounding way more now than I remember seeing, which just tells me that it's coming closer together, which makes it more exciting. Anybody can win. I love that. Right, and so, what's going on, Big E?
That sounded better.
For me, it sounds a little bit better. Okay. I'm sure we'll get somebody to hop up in the chat and let us know.
There seemed to be some kind of issue with my headphones. Hopefully that fixed it. I actually missed about half of what you said because I had no audio in my headset for a couple of minutes there. But I gathered that we were talking about the rash of upsets in college basketball. And,
yes, sir.
My thing is, we've had this conversation a couple times. Is this what we said was going to happen a couple years ago, which was the culmination of all these one and dones, how eventually that was going to catch up? Because you have teams that were keeping guys for 3-4 years versus the big schools were just, a bunch of one and done, so they never built that long-term chemistry. And now all of a sudden we're kind of seeing that catch up, and that's why we're seeing that balance shift.
Something along those lines.
So that's for me. That's my big question. That's really what's going on here in terms of what kind of shifted the power. Definitely going to make March interesting, man. If we're having this many upsets now, who knows what March is going to look like? It's going to be a wild one.
Yes, it will. And that's, like I said, man, for me, that's great. I love that excitement. I love that at all. Witty, what's going on, man? So yeah, just love the excitement, man. Love to see things going on. Love to see the upsets because everybody loves the underdog. Let's be real, everybody loves the underdog. So when you got a situation, you get a lot of underdogs to do what they need to do and at least make games competitive. The best part to me for March Madness, you have all these games back to back to back. And the more that they're competitive, the more that you really don't know who's going to win, it makes it more exciting. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean that's every March, man. That's kind of the idea is we want to get that excitement going. You love to see a couple of upsets. As long as it's not your team losing, you love to see them upsets anyways, right? As a Florida State and a North Carolina fan, sorry Duke fans, but we love to watch y'all get upset.
Virginia, we haven't forgotten. We have not forgotten. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, I know.
Not sure if the AOK is for my my audio being good or for Duke getting upset, but I'll take both.
Hey, man, anytime that we can talk about Duke getting upset, I, for one, am a happy individual. That's just the way things are. Real talk.
And if you're a Duke fan, feel free to jump in the comments, defend yourselves.
They don't want to even defend themselves, so they're watching, man. They're watching their hide. They like, hold up, we can't talk right now.
Like, hold up, where they at?
They waiting for somebody else. Duke fans, they got to be like in a swarm before they come. All of them is sitting there like, who else is a Duke fan? I need some backup. I can't do it by myself.
They're trying to scroll through the list, see who's actively watching. Does any of these names sound familiar? Where my Duke fans at?
I cannot stand these non-Duke fan guys. I just get on my nerves.
Crazy, bro. Crazy.
It's all good, man. Maybe it'll show up one day. Because I know some of them are subscribed. I know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They out there.
Yeah, they out there.
They just hiding.
They quiet. They
Like,
quiet, but they out there.
why y'all so quiet?
So we had a few more people join. Don't forget, everyone. Any questions? Anything you want to talk about sports related? Let us know.
I see Big E here. I see Big Rob here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. What's up, fellas?
So I see Rob's talking about Georgetown, which they do look bad, but Michigan does look pretty good. They lost the other night, but Juwan Howard has that team headed in the right direction, man. I really like that, and I respect the fact that it's an alumni going back, taking over that team. A dude that had a long NBA career, um, played under some really good coaches, so he had a chance to learn, and now he's going to build back up Michigan basketball. So I
Oh,
really like
bro,
that.
bro, you just made me think about something. I got to shift gears on you a little bit
Shift.
because right as we were getting ready to come on tonight, tell me why I saw who the Texans interviewed for the head coaching job. You see?
I did. I'm going to let you tell everybody though.
So for those of y'all that did not see it, they interviewed Josh McCown. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, wasn't that the dude that was just backing on Carson Wentz like 2 years ago? Yes. Yes, it was.
The dude that was on our practice squad, our expanded COVID practice squad last year. That's him.
Yeah. The dude has been in the league for like 19 years. Yep. Never had a coaching job in his life. I mean, unless you count being a backup quarterback for like 18 years.
My fave second string.
Cool doesn't like anybody that's on the second string, man. What are you talking about?
There's one guy that
it's either starters or third stringers for him, man. It's never second string.
There's one second string guy that I am quite fond of.
Who's that, man?
Our second round pick from last year. Because according to everything that I've heard, he's now going to be our second quarterback, because now that we've got our puppet coach in place, our new head coach in place, Wentz is going to be the guy.
Well, man, all I'm going to say to that is I don't think you're going to be a fan of your backup quarterback for long. Because I think your backup quarterback is going to be Wentz before too long.
That would definitely shift my like for my backup quarterback, for sure. But, Wentz as a backup is not the same as Wentz as a starter. So Witty Flow says Josh could be a head coach, but doesn't think he's ready yet. I definitely agree. He hasn't been a QB coach. He hasn't been anything as of yet. So I definitely agree, man. Dropping him into a head coaching role, that could be a little reckless, but we're talking about the Texans. Reckless is their middle name. Mm-hmm. That's why it's funny.
The funniest part about it was when they actually said if they do hire him, they're going to make sure they have at least one former head coach on his staff. I'm like, bruh, there's experienced coaches who have one head coach on their staff, one former head coach on their staff. What's that going to do for you? And if you're bringing in somebody to just a former head coach to help him, why not just hire that person?
So I'm gonna answer the questions in the comments first, and then I'm going to respond. So you said the puppet thing. It slipped out. I didn't mean it. You said it. I meant it. The Texas front office is trashy trash.
Trash juice.
Yeah, they are the ones that got rid of Warren Moon when they were the Oilers. You're absolutely correct. Eric, your question. McCown was the quarterback coach for the Battle Creek team here in Charlotte 2 years ago. So yeah, he does have high school coaching experience, if we want to count that for making him a head coach. I don't know about you, but I don't know any organization other than the Houston Texans that would do that. I'm just saying. Yeah. Real as it can get.
Yeah.
Now, for my comments on the Texans, the only thing I can say is they put the funk in dysfunctional. They are horrible. You have a quarterback who doesn't even want to be there. I don't know what else to really say. Like, they're just that bad. I mean, the Eagles got a puppet head coach before they could even get somebody.
Listen, if you want to talk about the Texans, you need to get Ron Isley and Nelly on the phone over here. So we about to talk about the trash juice.
That's pretty much what you're gonna get, man. That's pretty much what you're gonna get. Whether you want it or not, that's what you're gonna get.
So Rob wants to know our predictions on free agents for next season. Honestly, that's a tough one to answer, man, because we don't yet know who's going to end up getting franchised. We don't know guys are going to be surprise cuts. There's still a lot of question marks out there. I was kind of looking at some of the big names they're going to be out there and trying to see if there's somebody I think might switch teams. You got a couple names out there. Allen Robinson is a guy that I could see switching teams.
Kenny Galladay, they didn't want to pay him. I could see him switching teams.
Yeah, I think the Jets are a good landing spot for either one of those teams. They're looking to possibly get some, if they do decide to keep Sam Darnold, they're going to be looking to put some weapons around him this year. So I could see any of them guys going there. The Philadelphia Eagles are always going to be mentioned as a spot looking for wide receivers, always and forever. This dude said, "Oh no, not the orange Cheeto."
All I can say is the best if they were to hire 45 as the head coach, the best thing would be the press conferences, because every time they lose, he'd be like, "They cheated. They cheated." And of course, my face is not red enough, but trying to get a Cheeto look. They cheated. We're not going to leave the field until they reverse the decision.
But no, that's something we would definitely talk more about, Rob. As we get more to the offseason, that's definitely a topic that we'll be talking a lot about. I just think it's a little early right now to try to guess where some of these guys are going to go. Two guys I'm going to be really interested to see what happens with them. Cam Newton, who played okay at points this season, but played really bad at points in this season too. So it's going to be interesting to see if he gets an opportunity somewhere. And if Drew Brees decides to hang it up, are they going to try to bring Jameis Winston back there to New Orleans, or is he going to possibly go to look to get another opportunity? Because Jameis ain't probably going to want to split with Taysom Hill if they're trying to do that nonsense. So it will be interesting to see what happens with that. But those are two that I'm going to be really interested in. I'm trying my absolute best right now not to think about Donald Trump's press conferences as the head coach of the Texans.
That would be funny. You have to admit that would be hilarious.
Now
that would be they would just put their press conference up when they do "Come On Man" on ESPN. They would just put their press conference up and just let it ride. That's all you have to do.
Now, if we can go ahead and get him in as the head coach of the Texans, and he can do like he did with all these deals when he became president, he can opt out of Deshaun Watson contract. That would be cool.
Oh boy.
So
I did see Whitty asked a really interesting question. Phillip Rivers played 17 seasons, wore the number 17. Was this a conspiracy? So I'll say I don't think it was a conspiracy, but I will say that we would be remiss if we did at least acknowledge that Phillip Rivers, he may not have been a Super Bowl winning quarterback or like a top 5 quarterback all time, but he's a dude that played 17 years, played really well, spent most of them with the Chargers, actually replaced Drew Brees with the Chargers. That's how long Drew Brees has played. He got replaced, and the dude that replaced him has played 17 years before he retired. And he was already a couple of years in back then. So, I don't know about you, Stephen, but for me, Every time somebody retires, the first thing that happens is everybody starts talking about should they go to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
I'm going to hit a hard no on Philip Rivers. He's in the Hall of Very Good with Donovan McNabb, but not the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'm personally torn on this one. Somebody asked me the other day. They just kind of made an assumption that he's going in, and they asked if he should be first ballot. And my response was, "Hell no." uh, I'm not necessarily going to be mad if he gets in, but there's no way to do this first ballot, bro. Come on. That's Cousin Eddie over there, man. Shout out to Cousin Eddie.
If he's first ballot, just put me in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be upset if he never got in. I wouldn't be upset if he did, unless it was first ballot. Then I'd be like, bro, y'all done pass over a lot of good people, and y'all put Cousin Eddie in on the first ballot. That's ridiculous.
All I'm saying is, if this was a Hall of Fame for children, he would be the top pick. He'd be the first guy in first ballot, but it's not.
Well, actually, he might be the second one in because Marty would be the first in.
I don't know, man. Rivers is in double digits.
They both are.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they both are, man.
Give him a nomination. I'm going to hard pass on that personally. I'm going to hard pass, but if he gets in, like you said, if he gets in, it's all good. But I'm gonna give a hard pass. If I had a vote, it would not be for him. Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, there's plenty of other guys that would get in before him, and you also had to think about the fact that Drew Brees might be retiring this year. So you're now talking about going in with Drew Brees? Nah, bro. Can you honestly put Philip Rivers and Drew Brees in the same breath?
If you can put Philip Rivers and Drew Brees in the same breath, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. That's all I can say to you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
If you put Drew Brees and Philip Rivers in the same breath, you deserve to choke on that breath.
Now, I also saw Big Rob mention Juju. So since you mentioned Juju, I'm assuming that you'd like for us to say what we think is going to happen with Juju. Since you mentioned it personally, so I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. I think that Pittsburgh is going to make an offer to Juju. He's not going to like it because he's going to want to get paid. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to pay him because they have so many other guys that even though I think he's really good, but he had to fill the slot role because in Pittsburgh, if you've watched their offense, their slot receiver does a lot. You go back to like Hines Ward, Antoine Randall, they've had lots of guys that played in the slot and they knew all the route trees. So that's kind of where they put their, really their best receiver a lot of the time. So I think with that being said, they would miss Juju, but they have a lot of other weapons that are young on rookie deals. They can still be successful without Juju. So I think Juju is going to end up on another team. I would like for Juju to go somewhere like Chicago, maybe Philadelphia, probably out of our price range, but somewhere like Chicago, Cincinnati, one of those places where he could go and fit in as the number one right away. Because I think that's the place he needs to be in. Obviously Houston, but I mean, are you going to really want to go to Houston, even if they just give you a ridiculous contract? But I mean, I think he needs to go to one of those places where they don't have a number one and he can kind of slide into that role there and see if he's that number one receiver, but where he can be more free. I think he's the guy that, from what I've seen, he's learned different route trees and he's been able to play on, either outside position as well as in the slot. So he's a guy that definitely has to spend some time figuring that out. He maybe could spend a little bit more and a little less on TikTok dancing on logos, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. I mean, here's my thought. The only way that Juju comes back to Pittsburgh is if he wants to come back and not have Ben Roethlisberger throwing him the football. Because unless Ben Roethlisberger retires and they don't have to pay his $41 million cap hit, there's not no money for Juju, especially when you look at the talent they have at wide receiver on that team. While he is valuable to that team, Pittsburgh's just a team, man, that doesn't really pay a lot of guys, especially those positions. If you don't believe me, go ask Le'Veon Bell. So I don't think they're bringing him back. I think he does end up going somewhere else. Uh, Obviously, he's going to not be cheap. Someone's going to pay him probably more than he deserves. As much as I like him as a wide receiver, I really hope it's not us. Which I think we're good because we don't really have a lot of money. So and we have like a whole bunch of free agents to resign. So
well, it won't be us either because we had the second least cap space, negative like 60 million.
So, bro, the Saints.
I don't think it'll be us.
Look, I don't know what you want the Saints do, bro. How you get that far over?
Well, I could give you a couple of names. Fletcher Cox and Carson Wentz helped us out quite a bit with getting over. And, you know, I'm not even going to put Darius Slay in it because whatever we paid him was worth it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, overpaying some people. One free agent that I'll be interested to see if he gets a job is Jason Peters. I know hopefully it won't be with us, but I'll be interested to see if he does get another, job somewhere. Maybe it's like a backup or a starter somewhere where they need like a stopgap guy to play left tackle or right tackle. So that'd be interesting to see just from the perspective of there is a premium paid on, you know, that position in the league. Now, another big reason why Ben might be out of there is, you know, Pittsburgh signed Dwayne Haskins. So now we can just get rid of Ben Roethlisberger, right? Because now they got Dwayne Haskins.
How can you even comment on that? Just be like, for real, like, what do you even say to that? There's just nothing to even say on that, man. You know, one thing is going to. So I'm going to tell you a situation I think is going to be interesting, and maybe Rob can comment on this. I wonder, and you start looking at, you know, some of the guys that might be out there, right? At quarterback. It's not going to be, you know, big, huge names, but you've got a couple guys that have had success in the past who might be available. And I wonder, is Dallas going to maybe opt to go and try to get a Cam or a Jameis or somebody like that and bring them in for literally like half of what they're going to have to pay Dak?
What do you mean? They don't have to bring anybody in. They have Andy Dalton. What do you?
What's the Cowboys' record this year?
Who cares? It was low. It was like 5 wins, man. But Andy Dalton missed multiple games because remember he was injured as well. So if they had Andy Dalton, because remember what we heard when they signed Andy Dalton? Oh, this was a great signing, and if something were to happen to Dak, even though Dak never gets hurt, Andy Dalton will be able to step in, and you know he'll be able with all those amazing weapons in Dallas. We'll see that what Andy Dalton wasn't the problem in Cincinnati. Well, I can tell you at the end of the season, unequivocally, Andy Dalton was at least part of the problem in Cincinnati. I said that when they signed him. And I will say what I always say when anyone talks about Andy Dalton. I had the misfortune of 1 year saying, it's late in the draft. I haven't gotten a quarterback yet. I can't believe Andy Dalton's still here. So I, in my exuberance and idiocracy at the same time, hit the draft button on Andy Dalton. And what did he do? There were 3 games that season where he scored as a quarterback less than 10 points. And this is in a league where you get heightened quarterbacks. You get heightened points for quarterbacks for completions, yards, and all that. Less than 10 points 3 times. And you know what I did after the first 2 times? I cut him, and I went and got, I don't know who, somebody, and they played better than that. But what I can tell you is, if you are a team and you bring in Andy Dalton, you better hope that you don't need him to go out and win a lot of games for you. Dallas needed that, and look where they ended up. And Rob, I know you are a Dallas fan. And yes, Joe, that was blasphemous. And Tanya, I'm just telling the truth. But Rob, you ended pretty strong until the last game of the season, the one that mattered the most. And what did you do? You lost to the Giants. So if you want to call that ending strong, be my guest. I do not.
So here's the thing. Yeah, you're right. He's a decent quarterback when he's got protection, but everybody is a decent quarterback in the NFL when they have protection. I mean, if you got all day to stand back, the defense can only cover for so long. At some point, anybody can hit a wide open receiver. So the thing I would say to remember what Andy Dalton's end of the year performance is, and I know this only because they were talking so much about it towards the end of the year with the strength of schedule and everything. Dallas actually had the weakest schedule out of all the NFC East teams, or the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. So remember why Andy Dalton was out there going and looking pretty good towards the end of the season. That was against inferior quality opponents. I know that might seem like a weird thing to say, considering that Dallas was an inferior quality opponent for most people this season. And I'm not trying to clown y'all. That's, because you had a lot of injuries. We were in the same boat. We were an inferior quality opponent for people for parts of the season too. But
we were.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's why he might have looked a little better at the end of the season though, because he was going against lower quality opponent. Okay, well. Here's the thing, though, Joe. We can't say if Haskins can hit wide open receivers because he didn't really have an offensive line to protect him, and wide receivers in Washington don't get wide open very often. So I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you that he would be able to hit them. I'm just saying we didn't have any evidence.
All I'll say is this: Haskins needs to get this right, because you threw 50 touchdowns in college your senior year. So clearly you got the talent, but you need to get this right. And hopefully he's like a Chris Carter. You get cut by one team for not using this, you go somewhere else and you have a really good career. So that's why I hope what happens with that young man. But Rob, you always like to talk about you had a lot of injuries.
We did.
We had one starting lineman by week 4. One. So you had injuries, but the Eagles had a lot of injuries too. Let's not forget we missed Deshaun Jackson most of the season, Alshon Jeffrey. Zach Ertz was out for about 5 or 6 games. Dallas Goedert missed like 5 or 6 games due to injury. We had a carousel at the cornerback position across from Slay. Slay missed a couple of games with injury. So you're not the only 2 teams that did have a lot of injuries last year. Not saying that you didn't, but we had a lot as well. And if we're talking about games, we missed our left tackle and our Pro Bowl right guard from game 1. So you weren't the only ones that had injuries.
Well, I'm just not even gonna bother going through my list of injuries because it's too long. We'll be here all night.
Witty, I agree with you. I agree with you, Witty. I agree with you, Witty.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, man, Haskins should have never got drafted as high as he did. They took a chance on him because of the potential, the fact that it's a quarterback, and it's easy to take quarterbacks in the first round now. If they don't work out, it's not a huge deal like it used to be.
Yeah.
But he should have never been taken in the first round, man. He was way too much of a project, and he really needed to go somewhere where he could sit and learn, not go somewhere where he's going to be thrown into the fire.
I definitely think that the football team wasn't the best place, then known as the Redskins, for him. But, I mean, they needed a quarterback. He was the best from what, was scouted that was available. So you kind of had to do what you had to do. But also, we can't all put it on the team. A lot of this is on Dwayne Haskins because he didn't take the time to really work on his craft. He was at the strip club throwing ones with no mask on in the middle of the pandemic instead of worrying about being a better quarterback. So you got to also put a lot on him that he better learn because, you know, you mess up this chance, it might not be a third one, bro. So, you know, do what you need to do.
Pretty much. Well, man, that kind of brings us to this weekend, bro. We got some two more playoff games, and then we're already at the Super Bowl. It's hard to believe, man.
Crazy.
All these postponements and everything else we had, you know, just seemed like we were never going to get here, man. So
yeah.
So before we jump into talking about these, I know we don't really do recaps of the previous weeks or anything, but anything from the games last weekend that you want to talk out, any particular storylines or anything that stood out to you?
Yes. So, Cleveland. How, in the name of everything holy, do you let a backup quarterback on a very important play, what was it, 12, 13-yard gallop?
Yep. 13 yards.
How do you allow Chad Henne to do that? I could see if it was Mahomes, Chad Henne, in an important part of the game. How do you let Chad Henne do that to you? You just, bro. I'm just going to chalk it up and say you're young. This was your first time there, but you can't let that happen. You just can't. You had an opportunity without Mahomes in that game to win and be playing right now, and you're not due to poor defense. There was some calls, especially that fumble through the end zone that I didn't like, that I thought didn't go right. But at the end of the day, you still had an opportunity, and that's what you did. I just hope y'all are better next year. That's all I can say about that. All I can say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I know Myles Garrett wasn't at 100%, but here's the thing, man. The moment that Chad Henne came in the game, y'all should have been eating. Y'all should have been eating good. I mean, that should have been a wrap the moment he came in.
But it was Chad Henne.
Chad Henne, bro.
Henne.
I mean, Joe, I hear you, man. I hear you saying anything is possible, but I tell you what wasn't possible was for anybody to blow a game worse than what the Browns did. That's not possible. I mean, I'm like, bro. But yeah, look, we got to talk about that play at the end of the first half, though, because first of all, I don't like the rule. I mean, the rule is what it is. I don't like it because anywhere else on the field, if you fumble the ball, it goes forward and goes out of bounds, you don't lose possession of football. So to me, the ball goes into the end zone, rolls out of bounds. The ball should be down wherever you lost the ball, or put it to one, or however you want to do that. But at no point in time should that become a touchback for the defense. The defense literally did nothing to actually earn the football. And when we talk about the actual hit itself, the issue I have with that is, and we've talked about this on multiple occasions on the show, the NFL forever is talking about player safety, player safety, player safety. You didn't see helmet-to-helmet contact on that play? Really? If this had been college, they would have paused the game. They would have reviewed it. They would have gave it the targeting penalty. They would have gave them an automatic first down, and he would have been kicked out of the game.
My whole thing is this instant replay is ridiculous. So you mean to tell me we can replay to make sure he fumbled the ball, it went out of bounds, everything happened, but we can't review the play and see clearly that this dude was hit in the head and that's why he lost the ball.
Right.
That's the whole beef that I have with it. The rule, I don't like the rule. I think it's stupid. They're not going to change it, but they need to change instant replay. If I can replay any part of the play, you should be able to replay the whole play. Meaning, if I can replay him diving to see if he crossed the line before he got hit and all that stuff, I should also be able to replay the hit to his head, counterproductive to everything they talk about for player safety, and then give him the penalty for that. That's all I'm saying. That's my beef with it. I do feel like that had a big part of why Cleveland lost. But Cleveland, you had chances to come back. You can't let him do that to you. You cannot. You have to be better than that without Myles Garrett. You still have to be better than that, period.
Now, I would say this, kind of moving into the next game up, I don't care what you say. I don't care if you sit here and tell me that you got all this individual protocol testing and everything else. I saw Patrick Mahomes try to get up off the ground. That dude ain't know where he was, who anybody else around him was. Nothing. There's no way that dude is actually healthy and ready to play on Sunday. It's just, no, I don't buy it. I do not buy that dude is already fully recovered from that concussion. I just don't.
All I'm going to say to that is simply this right here. Mama Mahomes like to get on and be a little bit of a itchy Twitter fingers. When he gets wrecked by this Buffalo defense, whoever hits him and knocks him out. Because unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen. I don't want it to happen because I like Mahomes, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's what's going to happen. Whoever it is, I just pray that your wife gets on and gives Mama Mahomes what she needs, because she needs to shut up. You don't play. Your son plays a violent sport.
Yep.
You're not his personal protector. Shut up. And I hope, beyond hope, that it's the right person's girlfriend or wife to get on and rip her. And if it does happen, I hope that I see it, because I'm going to be happy. You know why? She needs to shut up. If I want to call him Pat Mahomes, I'm going to call him Pat Mahomes. I don't care what you say.
Right.
If he says, call me Patrick Mahomes, I'll call him Patrick Mahomes. You're not him.
Right. Yeah, Joe, when that play happened, man, when I saw them legs wobble, I was like, oh, this dude looked like he had a concussion. And then they showed his face. I was like, oh, he definitely got a concussion. I was just waiting for them to see if they're gonna let him come back in the game, because I was about to call the NFL myself. Like, what y'all doing? The dude clearly concussed. Clearly.
So, according to Rob, man, that happened to him in high school. He went out and his mind was clear. Well, I'm gonna tell you, Rob. I didn't see you in the high school when it happened, but I will tell you this: it didn't happen for him. So if you were saying he was out a few plays and came back, which he clearly not going to be able to, here's the thing: they're saying today, 5 days later, that he's cleared. They weren't saying he was cleared the next day, because he wasn't cleared until today,
right,
like midday. So whatever happened to you, I don't think we can put that in the same realm as to what happened to him, because clearly what happened to him was more violent, right?
Yeah.
But okay, you got kneed in the head. He got knocked on his head and he had a whip up. You know what I'm saying? He also has, like, something else was wrong with his neck, I remember seeing. So I'm not saying that there can't be situations where that happens, but I don't think these two situations are the same. They're similar and they're both concussions, but I don't think that they're exactly the same. And like I said, they were even saying midweek that he was still going through the steps of the protocol and he couldn't pass them. He was progressing, but he couldn't pass them. So I think your situation is like a lot of times when people have a concussion on the field, because I haven't seen a lot of times when somebody gets out, they take them out for concussion. Before the last few years, they would come back. I think now, no matter what, you don't really come back if you have a concussion for the rest of that game. That's what happened to Lamar Jackson as well. But I just say, man, you have to be careful, but at the same time, I think it's a bad decision for him to play seriously. All jokes aside, I think it's a bad decision, and you should be more concerned with the person. Because I think you might be fine now, but you're going to go out and play a violent game. And let's be real, Buffalo is trying to win. And Sean McDermott, he was our defensive coordinator. He's going to go out there and he.
You know, man.
I am. I was just saying he's going to say hit Mahomes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, man, I don't wish bad luck on anybody, man. I definitely hope that, he's healthy and he's ready to play. I just had some serious doubts about that. So, hopefully, nothing bad happens to him out there. But speaking of games last weekend, things that happened to people that were bad, Drew, bro, you done. You done. Like, bruh. It's time for you to quit. Okay? Just stop, man. Just stop already. Bro, that last interception. Look, that last interception, bro. I'm telling you, I have seen that a million times. It was an option route for the running back. Kamara saw the play correctly. There was an open zone behind him. He went to the open zone exactly where he was supposed to go. And Drew Brees threw the ball early and threw it short. Why? Because he didn't have the confidence he could get the ball over the defender. You can see it.
Man, that's why, like, a lot of times people say you play sports and you try to go out on top. And we talk about guys that maybe like Kobe, Mike, at some point, probably LeBron, they leave a year or two before they needed to. And the reason they do that is because they don't want to be what Drew Brees was in that game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it does not knock all the things that he's done over his career, because he's had a great career.
Absolutely. First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah. You have to know when to leave, and you should have left last year, Drew. Like, really, you should have left last year. I understand why you came back trying to win another Super Bowl, make it to the playoffs or whatever, but you kind of saw this last year. Injured for a big part of the year last year and this year, so you kind of at that point, man. But I will say, even though he probably should retire, Daniel probably should have retired last year.
Yeah.
I respect the fact that he got back out there after those injuries, all those broken ribs and everything, and at least tried to finish the season. I can give him that respect. Yeah. But, I mean, I didn't think they were going to be winning, and that's why I picked Tampa Bay to win last week, because I'm like, Drew is not the same Drew he was 2 years ago. And without that, those plays are going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time, man. I got a lot of respect for Drew and everything he's ever done, man, but it's time, bro. Like, you done. That's it. Yeah. But hey, man, can we go ahead and talk about the surprise of the entire weekend though? That Washington game, bro. Heineke, dude out there, he was out there balling, bro. I was like, dude looked like he been out here doing this for a minute. I was kind of disappointed for them that they lost.
He looks like a guy that might be able to, step up and do something for the football team. So we'll see, man. I mean, I'd definitely bring this a competition for him, but hey.
Oh, yeah.
I think Alex Smith at the most is going to give you, another year, a couple of years. But I think Alex Smith is a guy that won't mind. He showed before, if he's not the same player he was, he won't mind if you bench him and put Heineke in. So, it'll be interesting to see. And I'll be watching because I love to see those type of things happen, right? The guy that kind of comes from nowhere and ends up doing well. We love to see those. It doesn't happen enough, but when it does, we love to see him. I know you was sad with him, man, but you made it, so you should be happy about that. And you're welcome, by the way. You're welcome.
Yeah. Doug Peterson, his lack of integrity of the game, right? So, Joe, man, to answer your question, I think Jameis should be. If the Saints really want to move forward with this Taysom Hill nonsense, when you have Jameis Winston potentially going to resign with you, then you just deserve whatever you get, man, at that point, because that dude is clearly not a real quarterback. I'm sorry. You might bring him in for his little gadget plays or whatever, but you can't really sit here and tell me that you think that Taysom Hill can be your starting quarterback. That's like telling me that you're gonna roll with Jared Allen or Jared Stidham in New England. We had that conversation all last offseason. So
you can't beat out Cam coming off COVID when he can't even throw. All I can say is you're not going to be the starter. You are the weakest link.
Goodbye.
That's all I got to say about that.
Yes, sir. So time for them picks for this week, man. So
Yep.
Who you got?
I'm taking Green Bay.
Okay.
Tom is not going to be able to play well in that cold. And they have a lot of advanced age players. Those guys are not going to be the same in that cold. Lambeau is unforgiving. Green Bay.
You know, I think Tom will actually be fine in the cold. He's used to playing in those New England winters. So I think he'll actually be fine. I think they'll probably be able to put up some points. But I also think that defense is not going to be able to stop Green Bay, particularly Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. So I also am picking Green Bay in this game. I think it's going to be a close one, and it could go either way, but I'm going Green Bay. I'm going to give them the home field advantage.
And don't forget Aaron Jones in that run game probably do a few things.
Oh, yeah. Well, all three of them backs.
Yeah.
The three-headed monster.
So for my other pick, so this pick, Whitty, we don't agree with you, but my other pick, I do agree with you. I think if you told me that if you could guarantee me that Pat Mahomes, yes, Mama Mahomes, I said Pat, not Patrick, Pat Mahomes was going to be healthy and back to his full self, then I would think about this a little bit more. But I am along the thought process that he's going to play. I do believe if he plays, he's going to get hit. And I think that, unfortunately, with just having had a concussion, even though it may not be another concussion, it's going to be enough for them to be like, okay, like, you're going to have to sit. And I think when that happens, you're going to have to go back to Kenny, and Kenny think it's not possible. You're going to get crushed. And Buffalo is not going to play with you. And I think even if he makes it throughout the game, I don't think he's going to be the same. I don't think Mahomes is going to be the same this close to having this, serious concussion. So I think that that's going to lead me towards Buffalo and what I would have picked to be a close game either way. Let's not forget that beast, that wild animal that they have in Buffalo, a wide receiver named Stephon Diggs. He made Josh Allen look a lot better this year.
Oh. So I've now picked against Buffalo twice. I've been wrong both times. If we have any Bills fans out there, you are probably hoping and praying that I'm going to pick against you again, because I don't seem to be very good at picking against you. And fortunately for you, I have a lot of hatred towards Kansas City after we'll just call the lack of offensive holding in the Super Bowl last year. So I'm picking Kansas City. I hope I'm wrong again.
Okay. Hey. Whatever works for you.
I gotta be honest with you, man. The Chiefs and the Bucks in the Super Bowl would just be like the nightmare for me. That would be like the two teams that I hate the most right now.
Well,
I can't stand Tom Brady, so.
Well, you know how I feel about Andy Reid. You couldn't do it with us over like a billion years, and now you think you're gonna go do it twice with somebody else. I didn't even want you to do it once. So let's get him up out of there.
Yes, sir. I mean, hey, I'm basically telling you that I don't want Kansas City there. That's why I'm picking them to win.
That's fine. Yeah. Witty Flow, I would hold your horses on that one. But hey, it's all fun and games, speculation. But I don't know if I pick Buffalo over Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl nearing his end of his 30s. He's gonna want to get another one.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta agree, man. If the Packers make the Super Bowl, I've got them winning.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to beat them. Yeah,
but I will say that out of all the teams that are left in terms of who I would want to see win, Buffalo is actually the team I would root for.
Yeah, I mean, if I was just saying based on who I like and who I don't like, it would definitely be Buffalo. You know what I'm saying?
Woody Flo, you got to understand though, with Tom Brady, you want him to actually lose this week, not in the Super Bowl, because all the media and all the Tom Brady fans would even focus on the fact he lost. They'd be like, he played his 10th Super Bowl. That's all you would hear about for like 2 weeks. So no matter how petty you are, you would be hating yourself by the end of those 2 weeks for wishing for that. So I'm just letting you know, man, don't wish for that. Don't do that to yourself.
The street of Brady love throughout the country. You don't want that. None of us want that.
Yeah.
Then you would get all of the Patriots fans talking about how Bill Belichick is nothing without Tom Brady. We don't want any of that. Let's just, you know what I'm saying?
I would give you the sound effect for what the media would sound like talking about Tom Brady, but this is a family-friendly show, so.
Oh, boy. That's not much to follow that with. Not much at all. Not much at all. So I'm just not going to try. Bills versus Pack.
Yeah.
Okay, Bills versus Pack. I mean, that's what I'm picking, Witty. You know what I'm saying? That's my pick. But, you know, I feel like either way, we're going to get some good games. And like I said, when I pick, man, I try to take
I try to take the
emotion out of it.
So Joe said, yeah, Brady made it back without Bill. I mean, he made it back without Bill, but, you know, look at all the guys he got to throw the football to.
Well, I think what he's saying is that's what we would be hearing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what he's saying.
Yeah, because the media certainly not going to look at who he got to throw the ball to.
No, they're not.
Shoot, Dwayne Haskins might at least look like Andy Dalton if he went to Tampa.
At least Andy Dalton. That's fair. As long as you don't want to win playoff games, because as it was pointed out to us earlier, that doesn't happen.
No, that definitely not happening. So, but yeah, man, it's all good, man. You know, it is what it is. We'll see what happens, man. It's gonna be interesting, and then next week we'll talk a little bit about the Super Bowl in terms of what's coming up, as well as the sure we'll have a lot of NBA talk on next week, because I don't know if y'all noticed or not, man, but after this weekend, only 1 weekend of football left. Won't be no football this weekend.
Crazy. And of course we could talk about the coaching hires then. You know, we kind of got rocking with y'all and got away from it, so all good. It'll still be there next week.
You know what, man? I just realized that we didn't even talk about it. That's the crazy part.
And Rob said Jameis had decent weapons. Rob is I tell you what, man. Rob does not seem to be much of a fan of Jameis Winston, man. Just what I'm observing.
Hey, but look though, if you actually don't look at just the interceptions, Jameis actually put up a lot of touchdowns and a lot of passing yardage. So the problem with Jameis is that he's just reckless with the football. I mean, that's Jameis' problem.
They've been calling 30 for 30 for 2 years, man. They won't let it be.
Jameis is the kind of guy, and I know as a Florida State fan, I know exactly how Jameis is. He is the kind of person that will put you in a 28-point deficit and then bring you out of it.
Yeah, that's true. But you know, that 30 for 30, man, they own it hard.
Yeah. And look, I say this because I actually went to a Florida State-Florida game, and when Jameis was the quarterback, we were literally down 28-0, dude. Like, the dude threw 4 interceptions to open up the game. And then we still ended up winning by like 20-some points. It's like, it's ridiculous. Like, I've never seen somebody who can literally just sit there and make mistake after mistake after mistake, and they just, like, go out there and put the team on his shoulders and win. It's crazy because when they talk about you got to have a short-term memory, the problem with Jameis is I don't think he learns from any of it. His memory is so short that he don't even learn from the mistakes. He literally just go very next play.
Well, Rob does say that he's cool with Jameis. So okay. I'm just saying, like, the way you brought it up, it made me feel like that maybe you weren't as cool with him. You just don't think the value of Brady should be diminished.
I do.
So you like LeBron and Tom Brady?
Captain, field goal kicker saved me. Tom Brady definitely deserves to be diminished. Tired of all this talk about Tom Brady being the greatest of all time.
Well, Tom's trying to get back to that Super Bowl so he can solidify himself there. That's why we don't want him to go back with it, Flo.
That's right.
That's why we don't even want him there.
I'm not a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. As a 49ers fan, I've had to listen to all the talk about how Aaron Rodgers wanted to come to the 49ers for his whole career. So I'm not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, but I'll be rooting for him this weekend.
Hey, so Joe, just want to let you know, you already have your quarterback in Steelers Nation. You may have not been on earlier when we're talking about your future quarterback. So I think you guys won't be in the Jameis market because you already have Dwayne Haskins. So
yeah, absolutely. Hey, don't forget if Dwayne Haskins doesn't work out, they got Mason Rudolph. Y'all still get Duck Hodges?
I can't. I tried. I can't stay serious with that. Come on, man. That's just too far.
Do they still got Duck Hodges too?
Maybe, man. Who knows?
How you had quarterbacks named Duck and Rudolph?
Rudolph is a goober.
Wow. When you showing your age on that one, man. You show your age on that one. I haven't heard goober in a while.
Asinine, 10, 11, and 12.
Well, look, man, these
13 and 14.
Look, man, these gray hairs on my face show my age, so I only had to give it away with knowing what the goober is.
Well, I'm just gonna say y'all may not see him, but there's some gray hairs in his beard too. Real talk.
You just die in yours, man. That's all it is.
Oh, ain't no dying there, bro. That's just what it is. They in there.
Oh, pretty mug. Pretty Ricky over here putting dye up in it.
They in there, bro. They in there.
Well, man, before we close out, man, you need to have another therapy session. You got all your Eagles hate out. Y'all just hired a new coach that only about 3 people ever heard of. So, do you need to have a quick therapy session like last week, man?
I'll save it for next week. I'll just save it.
Yeah, I ain't want to take your therapy session away from you if you needed it, bro.
I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that, but I can save it for next week. That way I can gather more information on our hire, maybe see what kind of staff he puts together, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, one thing I definitely want to talk about next week, and I'm going to kind of just throw this out there now so that for those of y'all who maybe really haven't heard too much about it yet, you can kind of look into it. That way you can come next week with some opinions already. But there was a bill that was passed today. This actually an extension of a law that was passed last year, giving extra protections to individuals who are transgender, saying that you cannot discriminate based on that. And so today, a bill was signed that basically extends some of those protections into Title IX, which has to do with athletics for high school and college, which essentially on the surface says that you can now have, say, for example, someone who was born a male to be able to go out and compete in female athletics, which is obviously raising a lot of eyebrows. We'll definitely have some opinions on it next week. We talked about it a little bit earlier today. We both decided we want to really dig into the details of it before we had that conversation on the show, because we don't want to get out of pocket and start making assumptions about stuff. But just throwing out there. So if y'all want to look into that this week, come to the show next week, and be ready to kind of talk about that. It'll definitely be part of the discussion next week because we've had a lot of conversations on this show about women in sports and trying to help make them better. And this is something that could potentially hurt them. So it's definitely something we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Because that's what we do around here. We don't be scared to talk about the big stuff. You know what I'm saying? It ain't all just clowning Dwayne Haskins around here. You know what I mean?
And the Houston Texans.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it is like 90% clowning the Houston Texans. But
hold on though. What if, this is a complete off topic, what if Dwayne Haskins had went to the Houston Texans? Dude. Oh, my goodness.
Wait.
Thank you, universe. Thank you, universe.
What if Dwayne Haskins coaches the Houston Texans? Joe.
Come on, man.
Joe, why are you trying to get rid of Haskins already, man?
Come on, Joe. That's your guy. Come on.
Joe, come on, man. You got to believe in Dwayne Haskins. Remember, anything is possible.
Amen. I'm just going to shake my head a little bit more. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah, man. Well, man, we are actually over our time here for the evening, so it is time to wrap it up. Do want to give a huge shout out to everybody that joined us live tonight, especially everybody who is joining in on the chat. Always love, always appreciation for y'all doing that. But until next Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's Cool and Box reminding you that when the clock runs down,
heroes arise.
And stats will lie.
But sometimes why?
Nothing is for show.
There is no doubt.
And until the clock runs out,
it's him and I.
The play callers. Y'all better know that.
Yeah.
ATL to Charlotte, North Carolina. See y'all next week.
Ohio State quarterbacks are bad in the NFL. That is true, Witty Flow.
It's true. Stay tuned. Maybe we can get our first one. That's not, but we'll see.
Maybe.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. All right, fellas. See y'all next week.
And ladies.
And ladies, too. Yes, please make sure that you invite a friend. Come join us next week in Talk Some Sports, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And the chat is always open the whole show. Holla at your boy.